Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. This is Jill Trotterman of Feeding the Family. I'm streaming live on Santa Cruz Voice, santacruzvoice.com. Farms, food production, distribution, and consumption are morphing rapidly in our fast-paced, ever-changing world. The U.S. has lost over 160,000 farmers and ranchers between 2017 and 2024. Vegetable production is down 6%, and fruit production is down nearly 36% in the last 15 years. Food nutrient density, soil quality, and human health are all in scary decline. Why is this happening? What is causing this, and what can we do about it? So today we are going to dive into some serious topics and questions that impacts every single person on earth. Food. And today we have the perfect person to talk about this, and that is Michael Olson. Welcome, Michael Olson.
Well, thank you, Jack. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on Jill Trotterman's show and talk about food. What could be more fun?
This is my favorite topic, as you know. But first, before we ask you some poignant questions, I wanted to share with the audience a little bit about you. So, Michael Olson is the host of the Food Chain Radio, which is a syndicated news talk program and podcast broadcasting weekly on radio stations and streaming on demand on the internet.
From santacruzvoice.com.
You got that right, santacruzvoice.com. And listen, Michael's radio show has been named the Ag News Show of the Year by California's legislature. And Michael is also the award-winning author of the Ben Franklin Book of the Year award of his book, MetroFarm, which is a guide to metropolitan agriculture. So we're going to dive into that. So welcome again, Michael.
Welcome again, Jill. So pleased to be here again.
Michael was one of the fellows who brought me into this radio world, so I'm very grateful to you.
And we're grateful to have you.
Thank you.
Oh, boy.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So this is
It should be fun.
It's 100% fun. Yeah. This is show number 10.
Good.
So I thought that was kind of a good winning number to have you on.
Good. Are you starting to feel comfortable?
I am. I really do. I don't want to take it for granted or be too casual. I'm still learning the ropes, you could say.
So am I. Absolutely.
Everything is changing, but it's an exciting platform to be able to reach people from.
All over the world.
All over the world.
Yep.
So we're very grateful for our listeners in other continents and countries, including our friends and family here in the United States. And we are streaming from Santa Cruz, and it's a beautiful day here.
Of course it's a beautiful day here.
I know. We're so fortunate. What is the day?
It's a Santa Cruz.
Right?
It's against the law for it not to be a beautiful day in Santa Cruz.
I know. We get very distressed if there's fog and rain. But it is June 4th.
It is June 4th and June gloom.
June gloom, 2025. I live in the Sun Belt.
So do I.
So
But it's still foggy in the morning.
It is. We do have that fog, but then we can enjoy the beautiful sunshine.
Yes.
So, Michael, your whole passion is about food and farming, and mostly farming. And
that's one of my passions.
I know you have a lot of things. I know you're a vet. You've got a surf T-shirt on. You're looking pretty cool.
I'm not a surfer, but I'm wearing a Vets for Vets.
Nice.
Which is a local organization in which vets stand up for vets. And that's the Vets for Vets. And the logo surfboards, of course, says Santa Cruz.
Right. Yeah, because we're a big surf community here in our town. We also are a big ag town.
Surprisingly enough, yes, we are.
Right. I'd like there to be more foodie restaurants popping up. But in the meantime, we have wonderful local farm culture. We've got CSAs, which are community-supported agriculture. We've got dozens and dozens of farmers markets. So we are a very foodie-oriented community.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't always that way.
It wasn't?
No. When I first started MetroFarm, there was one farmer's market. And now there's lots of them, which is great because it makes me feel good. Maybe it makes me feel like maybe we're heading in the right direction.
So clearly, if we're heading in the right direction, we've been going in the wrong direction. So what direction are we coming from that we want to course correct?
Well, I think what happened is we lost track of our food simply because it was a bother. You know, generation or two or three ago, most all of us lived on farms and ate the food that we grew or our neighbors grew. So we were very, very close to our farms and our food. We moved into town and we were so busy working in the city that we didn't have time to get close to our foods. And besides that, there were a lot of businesses who wanted to cater to us. So they made us food and they put it in plastic bags and they sent it to the grocery store. And we thought, my goodness, how convenient is this? All we have to do is give money and we get food. And it's cheap food too. It didn't cost much. Wow, you could get a bag of white bread for almost nothing. Come to think of it, there wasn't much in that bag of white bread anyway. So it was like nothing for nothing when it gets right down to it. So we just moved away from our food and we became city people. And we accepted what was in the plastic bags and forgot about it. And funny things started happening to our bodies as we did that. We blew up, got really big, overweight, obese, started getting a lot of weird diseases, started getting a lot of physical problems. And we wondered, what the heck is going on? What's wrong with us? Well, we lost track of our food. We moved away from our food. And that we have farmers markets now and that people actually shop at them is a good indication that we're coming back to our food. And that is hope.
That makes me feel hopeful and excited. I grew up in the desert. There wasn't a lot of farms out where we lived, but I did grow up eating. I had my share of frozen foods, but my mom was a great cook, so we had a lot of great homemade meals. But back in the day, 90% of all of us, like you said, ate off of farms. Yes. And now 90%, if not more, of people
probably 98%
are eating from packages and packaged foods.
Even farmers.
And even farmers too.
Right? Because if you have 10,000 acres of corn and soybeans, and you don't have time to grow your own food, so you go to the Costco 15 miles down the road and get food. Mm-hmm. Like everybody else. So even those people in industrial agriculture likely don't grow their own food.
Right. How did you get excited and interested in this topic? Why was that such a concern for you or a passion or one of your passions?
Well, first of all, I never dreamed I would write this book, MetroFarm. Never crossed my mind when I was growing up because I was a farm boy.
You were, so that's where you...
I was living on a farm that my grandparents had.
Back in Iowa?
Montana.
Montana, okay.
And it was one of those beautiful kinds of farms that only the Amish have now, which is to say it had all the farm animals you could possibly imagine. It had field crops, it had orchards, it had giant gardens. Essentially, the real crop of that farm was people. It was growing people, and they did a good job at that. But at any rate, as a kid growing up in Montana, I was a farm boy. I worked on farms, and I always would be out there in the fields watching those airplanes fly over and thinking, one day, one of those airplanes is going to take me away, and one of them finally did, and went out into the world and studied English and Chinese literature at the University of California, and went to work for David Brinkley and Chronicle and the Examiner newspapers, and my tools were words, and I was a storyteller.
You were on 60 Minutes?
It was NBC Magazine with David Brinkley. We were competing with 60 Minutes.
I see.
And one day we were doing a story on survivalists up in Southern Oregon. And these are people who believe that the world is going to collapse. The world of the city is going to collapse. The economy's got to go poof. And so they decided that they were going to survive it. And they moved more than one gas tank away from the nearest big city and get a little survivalist retreat and a can of crackers and some guns and hunker down and wait for Armageddon. And that was the story that we were telling from Rogue River, Oregon, of all places. But at any rate, we were standing on a hill overlooking the Rogue Valley of Southern Oregon, and all these beautiful little ranchettes down there in the valley, beautiful little place to hide out. At any rate, nobody was growing anything. Being a Montana farm boy, I turned to our guide, who's a publisher of survivalist tracts, and said, Nancy, we should make a pamphlet on ways to make money with those small parcels of land. It's just a farm boy. What else do you think? You're not growing anything, and you have these beautiful pieces of land. She said, Michael, that's a very good idea. And Nancy was the granddaughter of the gentleman who founded Mack Truck Company. And she had that Mack truckishness about her. 2 months later, I got a phone call from her. She said, Michael, I sold your book. And I said, wow, what book? And Nancy said, well, the one about farming on small parcels of land. And Nancy had contracted with a publisher, and she had hired a publicist in the Empire State Building. And I didn't have the slightest idea what to do, but I always dreamed about writing a book. So there I was. What the heck? Who makes money with small parcels of land? So as we started looking around, what we learned was that a lot of people lose money by farming small parcels of land. And I thought, wow, the first job of the book I am going to write is to help people not lose all their money and time doing stupid things.
Right. So your book is really a business manual on how local people can start their own local farms and compete with the big guys. Because I think I titled our show of, is there a place for small farms and small farming communities, or are we all going to have to depend on big ag?
Well, there it is. We are relying on big ag.
Currently, we are.
Yes. So the question then becomes, how does one start a small farm and compete with an industrial-sized farm? So if I were to retitle this book, it would be Up Against Goliath, because that is what all small businesses end up doing. We all end up going up against somebody that's big, has the money and the wherewithal to compete. So how do we compete is really what MetroFarm is all about. And it's as applicable to just about any kind of locally owned business when it gets right down to it, because we all must figure out how to contend. Now, sometimes when I was giving lectures on MetroFarm around the country, I would talk about the need to be competitive. And half the class would get up and walk out. Well, maybe not all, half, but the people don't want to contend. They don't want to fight for the business. They want to grow the best roses or the best watermelons or best whatever and do it organically and do it everything just right and have people come from miles around to buy their stuff. Well, you're not going to be able to do that without fighting for the customer's mind and money. And you have to go up against the Goliath and win. So how do people do that?
Yeah, how do we do that? Because I know in our communities, small businesses are going out, whether it's cafes, competing against the big coffee shops, or
everything,
clothing stores, you name it. All those small mom and pops are going out. People aren't even shopping in real life anymore, IRL. They're buying online. They're buying their food online, and that's that disconnection. But then there must be a human longing to really connect to the food, because if we're seeing an incursion of farmers markets, people must want that. They must
Okay, let's hold up two farms. Let's hold up one small farm
Okay.
and one big giant farm. And the first thing you have to realize is that the small farm can't do the same thing that the big farm is doing and win.
Can we use a specific example? Like there's a farm by my place, Everett Farm. Are you familiar with that?
No, but if there's a small farm close to your place, I can pretty much get what you're talking about.
Yeah, so they have a honor system food stand.
Okay, food. So drive by, buy some eggs,
Buy
leave
some
your
eggs,
money there.
strawberries. They've got all kinds of vegetables, flowers. So people walk in, and it's great because you see your community, and they have a box. You just put your money in there.
Sure.
So that's super old school.
Super old school.
But they thrive. I don't know if they're doing it because it's their income or it's a passion. But let's say that. How can
One must always make the distinction between farming and gardening.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
Well, farming is a vocation. Gardening is an avocation. Gardening is something you do for fun, right? Get up on Sunday morning and go out and prune the rose bushes, and everything is beautiful, and you're working in the soil, and you're happy, and life is good. Farming is a business where you get up and you're fighting to get things done so you can make money. Two different things. So Everett Farms must compete for somebody else with whatever it is they're selling. What, eggs?
Let's say strawberries.
Strawberries. Okay. Well, right down the street, you have Driscoll berries.
Perfect example.
Why
the
on
biggest
earth?
berry grower probably in the planet.
So if you want to win the consumer's dollars and you're going up against a Goliath like that, you simply have to do what they are not doing. And what happens is that when you have that industrial size, you're really growing commodities. So, and what is a commodity? Is a commodity, whoever can grow the most for the least wins, right? So a good example of that is strawberries. Somebody is growing millions of acres of strawberries. Those berries become kind of like a commodity, all the same, designed for length of shelf life, shipping abilities, and whatnot. Driscoll berries has the best commodity berries in the world, to my way of thinking. How do you compete with them? You have to find a way of growing something that's not a commodity, that's special. It's somehow so special that people will go, wow, have you tasted an Everett Farm strawberry? That is something really cool. Another example of that is tomatoes. So there are farms that have 10,000 acres of tomatoes. Now, city people are not in love with buying and eating commodities. What city people want is something very special that they can talk to their neighbor about over the backyard fence. Hey, I just found this incredible heritage farmed, organic farmed tomato, dry farmed. They don't even irrigate it. And it's so incredible, juicy, and so tasty. Man, that's what city people like to eat. That's not a commodity. That's something special. So in all respects, you cannot grow commodities and compete with industrial agriculture, because that's what industrial agriculture specializes in. You have to grow something special. And Everett Farms has to grow something special.
Right, and there's some farms up Highway 1 on the coast. They grow strawberries too. So what you're saying is, for these small farms that we want to bring back to our communities, they need to create something special that the consumer, the community member can identify with.
Yes.
Whether it's a different variety and it's an heirloom, the way it's grown, or just the fact that people feel comfortable knowing they're supporting a local farmer as opposed to a big corporate entity using a lot of pesticides and...
Well, here's an example out of MetroFarm. I'm showing Jill right now a photograph of Charles and Lois Hain. Charles and Lois Hayne, the picture, it's American Gothic. It could be Grant Wood's American Gothic.
It definitely looks like that, yeah.
All she needs is a pitchfork.
100%.
Right. And so my mother, as we were putting this together, my mother up in Billings, Montana, said, you have to interview the Haynes. Why is that? Because the Haynes grow the best cantaloupe I have ever had in my life. And, you get to a certain point in life where you actually listen to what your mother says. So I said, okay, next time we're in Billings, we'll run out and visit the Haynes. Well, next time we were in Billings happened to be January. But what the heck, we called them up, and they invited us out for lunch. So Marlene and I went out there in the winter. The wind was blowing. It was cold. It was not a very fancy place. It have a little handwritten sign, Haynes Country Gardens Cantaloupe. And
not much probably was growing in Montana in the middle of winter.
At that time, nothing was, of course. But at any rate, they invited us into their home. And it was you could tell they're a very pious couple, and they had a lot of religious icons on the wall and whatnot. But they invited us to sit down at the kitchen table for this absolutely wonderful farm lunch, which is to say like roast beef and gravy and potatoes and vegetables and yum, yum, yum. But at any rate, right away, the phone started ringing. Ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. And so Lois Hayne would get up and she'd answer the phone. She'd make notes in her little notebook. And this kept going on. And the phone kept interrupting everything. And finally, I've been in business long enough to know when the phone's ringing, something's going on. And the phone was ringing incessantly. And I finally said, okay, are you guys taking bets or something? What are you doing? And Charles said, oh, no, we're taking reservations for our cantaloupe crop. And I said, what do you mean you're taking reservations for your cantaloupe crop? I mean, you can buy cantaloupe every day of the year. Almost every grocery store in America has cantaloupe from Mexico or someplace every day of the year. So why would people call you months ahead of time to reserve your cantaloupe? And he said, well, look, and he opened up the paper, and there was a little 3-line classified ad that said, reservations now being accepted for Haynes Country Garden cantaloupe. Right? Okay. Now, if it said reservations now being accepted for Michael Olson's cantaloupe, who the heck would call? Nobody. But the phone was ringing off the hook. They were selling out their entire crop of cantaloupe before they even bought the seeds.
What is this method called, aside from planning ahead?
Well,
it's like a subscription business? Is it like a hybrid of a CSA?
It was a direct farm. People drove 30 miles out to the Haynes Country Gardens to buy their cantaloupe and also sweet corn and other vegetables and whatnot that he was growing. But he had people driving 30 miles.
Must be some pretty darn good cantaloupe.
So that's
sweet.
That's the question, okay?
Right.
Yes, it had to be sweet cantaloupe. It had to be very good. But people in the city also had to believe it was the best cantaloupe in the world, and that they were really going to get something special by driving 30 miles and by calling months ahead of time and reserving the right to buy that food.
Right. Now, let's say you're a family in today's world. Now, if you're going to source all of your crops from different farmers, that's going to take a lot of work and time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably why a lot of people depend on what used to be a small market. Then it grew into a grocery store. And now they're like one-stop shopping experiences where you can buy a lawnmower and a really bad cantaloupe, right? And
easy.
And a sandwich and get a haircut all at the same place.
Right.
But we're almost trading quality for quantity and cheapness.
Yes.
So part of the human experience is we do like quality things. So how do we make that trend happen where
So how does Charles and Lois Hain get people to drive 30 miles to buy their food
and not
when
just
they
them,
can get the same kind of food down the street at the supermarket?
100%.
What is the secret?
And not just for them, but for all of our other farmers that we want to encourage, because that's part of our conversation today. But listen, we are on live, Santa Cruz Voice, and I'm just going to have everyone hold on tight because Michael's going to answer that question.
How did they do it?
How did they create a successful business year after year, getting customers back, feeding good, healthy, quality food to people? And how can we do that today in 2025?
Okay.
All right, folks, hold on tight.
Invite you to the 37th Japanese Cultural Fair on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Mission Plaza Park. Experience traditional Japanese music, dance, taiko, martial arts, flower arrangement, bonsai, kimono, and sumie workshops. We have something for everyone, and admission is free. Hope to see you there.
Japanese Cultural Fair, Saturday, 11 to 6, Mission Plaza Park.
どうもありがとう。
You never get a second chance to make a good first impression. When you want to make a good first impression, start with Dynamic Press Angelo.
Dynamic Press can take care of every printing need, from business cards to stationery, apparel, mailings, brochures, everything but money.
When you want to make a good first impression, start with Dynamic Press in Santa Cruz.
479-7920. DynamicPress.com.
Get hooked up with affordable cannabis at the locally owned Hook Outlet. The Hook is a friendly neighborhood outlet where everybody above the age of 21 can have access to the best cannabis products for the best prices in the county. Get friendly local service and great prices in person and online at the Hook Outlets in Capitola and Watsonville. Order online at hookoutlet.com and pick up 9 to 9, 7 days a week. Get hooked up at the locally owned Hook Outlet.
When you need help managing your estate, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a will or a trust, a guardianship or a conservatorship, or if you are managing the financial affairs of a loved one, I will help you with over 7 years' experience working in estate planning and probate fields.
When you need help, call on the Angel, attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
Okay, folks, we are back in the studio, Santa Cruz
Just
Voice.
like that.
Boom! Modern technology.
Boom. Yes.
And I'm Jill Trotterman. We're on Feeding the Family, and I've got Michael Olson, the one and only.
I love the title, Feeding the Family.
I wonder who came up with that.
I don't
Such
know.
a good one.
Which is what you do.
Right. And, you know, Michael did help me with that title. The reason I like it, it's big because we're all family. Every single person on planet Earth, we're all family. So
That's right.
really, this hits everybody. And I like to talk about agriculture. I actually like to talk about spiritual stuff, food, actual nutrition. But this is an interesting...
Everything fits.
Everything fits, you know. We've talked about pesticides and poisons before. But this is really interesting because right now, there's a big grab for our farmland.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not even being farmed by certain people I won't mention. And they're buying up our crops, and different countries are also purchasing our land.
That's right.
Right? And so we might not, as Americans, have full control over our crops and what's being sprayed and whatnot. But what we're talking about is the importance of reclaiming our food and our farming.
Yes.
And how can small farmers compete against big agriculture corporations? Like, what's unique? How can people do it on a normal budget? And how can we support creating that infrastructure so we can at least have a sampling of good local food?
Well, and so we're talking about Charles and Lois Hain at Hain's Country Gardens, who had a small 7-acre farm, Shepherd, Montana, 30 miles outside of Billings, Montana, and how they have people buying the right or reserving the right to buy their crop months ahead of that crop ever being ready for harvest. And why would people want to do that? Why would people want to reserve their cantaloupe when they can buy cantaloupe for a lot less money right down the street and not have to drive 30 miles to get it? So it just doesn't make any sense unless there's something truly special there. And so how did they sell that city population into driving 30 miles to buy their cantaloupe when they can buy it down the street for less? It has to be something special. So what was his special thing?
You tell me, what was so special? I'm just thinking it probably tasted amazing.
Well, it tasted amazing, but how did he sell that? I mean, it's one thing for it to taste amazing.
Maybe they were selling an experience that people were missing, that connection to the farm.
How did he do that? How did he reach into a town 30 miles away?
Nostalgia?
And grab that audience.
Yeah,
And hold on to that audience and make that audience want to drive the 30 miles. And by the way,
I guess FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah. Well, there
Back
you go.
then, right?
There you go.
Something.
Do you think those people who drove 30 miles to buy those cantaloupe asked how much the cost was?
I'm thinking now. I don't think they cared.
Okay. So this is a contender. This couple who look like American Gothic are warriors of the marketplace. They figured out how to reach into a city 30 miles away and take the business from somebody who's growing cantaloupe 1,000 miles away and shipping it into Billings.
Right. What was their magic recipe? What was their formula?
Well, you have to read MetroFarm.
It's only 570 pages.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe, Michael, you'll just entertain us for a moment.
okay. You know what he did? He had a radio show called Country Gardens.
Okay.
And he talked about growing food for people. And people heard him talking about growing food and the care in which he made in growing that food. And people heard that and they connected with him. And they thought, wow, this really is food with its farmer's face on it. I trust this man's food. And I want to be part of his world.
Right. That's perfect. So he really was selling his story, something that people were missing out on, the connection.
Yes.
And the trust.
All of it.
Because a lot of people nowadays don't trust where their food is coming from.
Good for them.
They want to know what's in, like on your radio station promo thing, you have like, what's in the tomato? Who raised that cow? Where's the water coming from? What's in the water? All of these questions we're asking ourselves constantly. We don't trust our food system anymore.
And there's good reason not to trust our food system.
Right.
Because, when we moved into town, we lost touch. And yes, we can go to the grocery store and buy stuff. But in each one of us, we know that we have no control anymore. The farther, Michael Olson's second law of the food chain, the farther we go from the source of our food, the less control we have over what's in that food.
For sure. And then what the impact on our health is going to be.
Yeah. We have no idea. We've lost touch. We've lost control.
Right.
And that's what's frightening more than anything, is losing control of our food and losing control of our fate. When
our fate and our health.
Our health and the whole works. So when we run into a character like the Haynes, and we hear them talking, and we can look into their eyes and see what's in the food. Wow, that's control.
That's great. And what I'm really feeling is the connection that people are missing, the hunger, metaphorically.
For the soil.
And true, that we want to know who our farmers are. Get to know your farmer, and we've lost that because we used to have that 100 and some odd years ago, whether it was your neighbor or yourself. And now people must have that desire. At least I know I do.
Yes.
Which is why I do try to go to the farmers markets.
Yes, exactly. And look for those places where we can connect.
Is it realistic for the whole entire United States
Yes,
to depend?
it is. Let me give you a reason why.
All right, let's hear it, Michael.
All right. The question is, can we return to that kind of agriculture? I believe, yes, we can. And I look for precedent. What would lead me to think that something like small farms close to the city could feed a lot of people? Why would I think that? Because in the year 1900, the Secretary of Agriculture of the United States of America, by the name of F.H. King, traveled to Asia and was really curious about how Asia fed itself. A lot of people, not much land. In China, there were 400 million people at the time. The farmers he discovered had absolutely no modern tools of agriculture. Nothing. And yet, he looked at this and said, these people have been farming the same parcels of land for 40 centuries, 4,000 years. So we talk a lot about regenerative agriculture.
Right, yeah, that's a big hot word right now.
Well,
I'm glad you brought it up.
Think of these people on a half acre of land feeding 20 people in their home and selling half the crop for cash. This is in the year 1900. And these people were essentially farming the same parcel of land that had been farmed for 4,000 years. How do you maintain the fertility of the soil so plants keep growing?
I'm wondering.
And that's the big issue that we're talking about with respect to regenerative agriculture.
Crop rotation.
So here in the United States, we're so blessed to have one of the best growing environments of the world. We pioneered the East Coast. We planted crops. We put tobacco in the ground. We grew tobacco, and then we kept growing crops. And after a while, the soil ran out of gas, out of nutrients, and the crops quit growing. So what did we do? Keep going west. Chop the trees down. Keep growing.
Well,
plant the plants.
Right.
Eat up the soil. Keep going west and keep depleting the soil.
Was that like monoculture? Is that what you're talking about?
It's all
just depleting?
agriculture. If you keep using the same land over a period of time,
it depletes.
It just runs out of gas. You take all the nutrients out.
Right.
The plants eat it up, and there's nothing left in the soil. So you have to keep feeding the soil, just like the plants that grow in the soil feed us. Same deal. Now, when you're growing plants in depleted soils and using some kind of synthetic fertilizer, the plants probably aren't getting all of the nutrients they need. They're getting nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But what about everything else?
Right, because the NPK, that's the concoction, the three
macronutrients.
Right.
Well, what about the secondary nutrients? What about the micronutrients that all plants need to live, and so do we?
And the microbes and the worms and all the creatures that live in the soil. The soil should be so rich with everything.
Yes. So when we mine all of those things out, what's left in the crops? Just nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and it's all short. So in the year 1900, F.H. King discovered people had learned how to sustain the fertility of the soil for 4,000 years. And they they had no tools, no fertilizers, no chemicals, nothing.
That's amazing.
And they were doing it on very small parcels of land.
So it's doable, is what you're saying.
It is doable.
So if they did it in the 1800s.
We did it for thousands of years.
Right.
And all of a sudden we moved to town. And we learned how on those small parcels of farm, what was the secret? What was the principal ingredient? Time. There's a farmer out there in the field managing the soil, managing the growth of the crops, learning how to do rotations. And it was an incredibly precise technology. Very precise to be able to do that on a half acre of land. Okay.
And they have to anticipate what their family's going to want to eat and what grows well in their microclimate.
And what can be sold and so on, yes. And how to rotate all of these crops through the seasons and when to plant this one and what other crop I can plant it with so the crops won't offend each other, you know. So there's a tremendous technology, and that's all gone in China. China moved all of its farmers into the city like we did. Right. Only China did it instead of a couple generations. China did it all at once. Now there's nobody left on those small farms to grow the food, so that China has to rely on the industrial agriculture that is not so good at regenerating soil. I mean, put some NPK on it and call it a day, right?
Yeah, and
what happens to the people?
We could see what happens to the people. Look around, right?
Look around. So it can be done. And we city people can really make it happen too. And all we have to do is find the Charles and Lois Haynes and patronize them, buy their food. I think, to me, those farmers should be our rock stars.
Totally. So that's a great take-home message for everybody. That's
easy peasy,
one thing everybody can do is to at least buy one special crop from one special farmer. And if everybody does that, then we'll just keep sprouting up new specialty farmers.
Exactly.
And what about people who do own homes, or even if you have an apartment and growing food on your balcony? I really encourage people just to grow anything.
Absolutely.
Even if it's basil in a jar on your kitchen counter, because it will sprout if you buy that, right?
I once did a radio show with a gal in Brooklyn who lived in an apartment, and she had like 75 houseplants growing in her apartment, and it was just completely filled, and she became a houseplant blogger.
Okay.
But it was, her whole world is just filled with these plants. And, when you living in Brooklyn and you walk off those cold, ugly streets and into your apartment that's filled with all of this life, and that's what people can get on their porch.
So it takes a little impetus, a little motivation to grow a couple things. It doesn't have to be a complicated thing.
And to buy things. It takes a little bit of energy to start looking for real food with its farmer's face on it.
And people will benefit, I think. I don't know if a lot of people don't make the connection to their health and to where their food is growing.
Well, again, we all moved into the city.
Right.
And food comes in plastic bags with very fancy promises and colorful language, right? I mean, you look at that stuff and, wow, this is so easy. Mm-hmm. This is so easy.
I had a box of some random food I had, and I decided to open it up and evaluate really what was in this box. It was like a muffin package. I don't know where I got it. It was just like a
one of those things.
It was just one of those things that occurred. And I opened up the plastic pouch. There was 2 of them, and each plastic pouch only had a half a cup of the flour in it with a couple spices. So the whole box only had really 1 cup of ingredients. And I'm just thinking, what a stupid waste of energy for this little box of what was supposed to be something easy for us. And that's what the government, the United States government, about 100 and some odd years ago, they had a little pamphlet that told people, we're going to help you by offering up all these great packaged foods because they're convenient and they're cheap and they're quick and easy for your family. But now, 100 and some odd years later, I don't think that's true anymore. I think now we're seeing we've been led astray.
One of the biggest selling baby foods right now are toddler foods.
Right.
Are plastic pouches.
Yes, let's talk about this. I was listening to your last podcast on that. This makes me really fiery, you guys.
Sure. And it's so sad too. We take natural foods, we blend them up, we put things in them, and we put them in these plastic pouches for children. And it's really sugar when it gets right down to it. And it has a plastic nipple on it. And, oh my God, it's so easy to take real food, put it in a blender, and make toddler food. And yet we think we're actually saving time by buying something that's easy. And it's just a tragedy when it gets read. I hate to say that, but I'm gonna.
I'm happy you did. Let's just be straight up.
Come on, people.
Come on, people.
What are we feeding our children? The difference about foods. I did a lot of presentations to high school kids along the way. And so one of the tricks I did was I would get some cheap industrial eggs from the supermarket, and I would get some farmers market's eggs from the farmers market. And I would just take 2 eggs or maybe 3 to class of each kind. And I'd ask the class if they can tell the difference. And of course they can't. There's that white egg is the white egg. And then I said, okay, I'm going to tell you how these eggs were produced. And we're going to have a little egg demonstration. And I'll bet each one and every one of you can tell the difference, which egg is which egg. And so I talked about how in an industrial setting, the large, giant factory chicken farm has ag economists and chemists that can tell just exactly how much that chicken needs to lay an egg and not 1 iota more, because you got to cut costs, right? So that chicken gets absolute minimum of what it needs. And the farmer at the farmer's market doesn't have any of those guys to tell him what to do. All he has to do is keep an eye on the health of the chicken and make sure the chicken's healthy, because you don't want to lose the egg layers. So feeds the chicken probably a little bit more. And how does that become manifest? So I would take these 2 different kinds of eggs, and I would crack one open, put it in a saucer, and do the same with the other one, and have the kids come up and look at the eggs and tell me the difference. And of course, the industrial egg would be pale yellow yolk that would lay flat on the saucer, whereas the farmer's market egg would have a really deep, rich orange yellow yolk that would stand up proudly there. And the egg shells, the industrial egg shell would be as thin as toilet paper. And the farmer's market egg would be hard. Could feel a crack. And so the kids would look at this, feel the difference, see the difference. And you could see that they understood that there really is a difference in the food.
100%. I bet if you cooked those up, they could taste it as well if you did a blind taste test.
I would suspect so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's equally encouraging and sad at the same time, because it's sad that we've come from some place of destituteness. It almost seems like we're in food poverty. But then there's this great expanse of potential and
exactly. Yes.
Like I get so excited because I know the young kids. I know for a fact my children love to eat good, quality, healthy food. My friends do, and my family, and so we just need to keep encouraging each other.
Because you were a good teacher, you were a good mother.
And I had good educator parents too, because we love food.
In nature, mothers teach children what and how to eat.
Mm-hmm. Right. And some families don't have that. I
lot
know
of
some people
families,
who
yeah, a lot
food
of
was not
families.
part of their food culture. They would just get some canned this and call it a day, and the parents probably weren't even home.
I see that all the time.
I mean, no shame. I know people are really struggling out there, but it's almost like we've spent so much of our time to earn money to buy junky stuff. Maybe we work less, farm more, eat better quality food.
I swung by
we need to switch our values and morals to the.
I swung
switch 'em
by a
around.
convenience store the other day. Wanted to get a cheap, quick car wash, and had to go inside. And there was a mom and 2 kids, and all of them were overweight. And she was buying breakfast for the kids, and the breakfast was a soft drink, and chips and candy bars. And I thought, damn,
yeah.
it broke my heart
100%.
because I know those kids were going to run out of gas,
Totally.
and it wasn't going to take long for them to run out of gas.
Not only they're going to run out of gas, but we know it depletes
Yes.
physiologically, emotionally, spiritually, all that stuff.
The whole spectrum.
Right. So what gives you hope and optimism in our last couple minutes? Like what can people do today, tomorrow to encourage local
Sure.
farms?
Here, go out and buy some food with its farmer's face on it and live. Simple as that.
Sweet.
That's all you have to do. Get close to your food.
I love it.
Enjoy it. Cook it. Prepare it. Talk about it. Smear it all over your face. Like a little baby would.
Right.
But
Totally enjoy it.
enjoy it. Yeah.
So people need to just re-embrace the beauty and how it connects us to our human spirit, to the earth,
To the earth, to the soil.
and to our communities.
Yes.
So have a potluck, have everybody bring some good organic produce,
Yes.
make some food together.
Yes.
We just need to slow down a little bit.
And fight.
And there's good
Fight for
Fight.
the fight for the food. And all of these people that I feature in MetroFarm are warriors. Every one of them are warriors. Like Charles and Lois Hayne, they reached into a town 30 miles away and they fought for the business. And they took that business away from somebody who farmed this stuff by 1,000 acres, 1,000 miles away.
This
And
is
they
great
took it.
because we're not going to be able to fight these big guys. We can only recreate a different system.
Yes.
So we're not going to shut them down. We're just going to put our money and our attention to the things that have value and
that's what
nutrition
we
to
do
it.
naturally.
Right.
That's what we city people love.
Right. Just focus on the right stuff, people.
Yeah.
Right.
And grow healthy.
Grow healthy.
Yeah.
Grow your children healthy. Grow yourself healthy. Grow old healthy, and enjoy cooking and eating.
Amen.
So,
That's it.
amen. So this is a great.
Easy peasy.
I think it is. This gets me so motivated. In fact, today we do have a farmer's market here in Santa Cruz. But let me say goodbye to everybody and thank you, Michael Olson, for being here.
Is it over already?
It's over. I know. We went fast. So again, I'm Jill Trotterman. Check out my website, Santa Cruz Holistic Nutrition. Call me for counseling. And peace out. Love to everybody.